Okay, thank you everybody for the compliments on my hair. I just redid it. This happens often. I shed my skin a lot. I do not like having the same hair color as Shay's hairstyle. Drives me nuts. The one girly thing I do. Okay. Hey everybody. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you haven't been with us before at DiviNation Academy, we are so happy you found us. Um, so DiviNation Academy, if you do not know about us, we are a free pagan academy. We believe that every education should be free and accessible to all. So that's what we offer to you guys. Every workshop, club, private apprenticeship, every class, every study guide, everything we do for you guys is always free. We'll never ask you for anything. So that's the big thing that's about us. And then I'll give you some information here that I'll pop into the chat, some links that are going to come your way. The first one is going to be the number one way you want to get in touch with us. It's going to be our Facebook page. Send us a DM directly saying that you want to enroll after this class if you like what you see. And if you want to enroll as a student, one of our admins will reach out to you and you can enroll that way. When you do enroll, you get access to our private Facebook chats, our mentorship groups. You get access to one-on-one mentorship groups. I have a new study group that I'm actually starting. You're only going to have access to that if you are enrolled as a student. So if you want one-on-one access to me that way, that's going to be how you get that as well. So definitely do that if you like what you see here. And if you've had a couple classes with us before and have been thinking about it, just do it. The next thing I'll pop in the chat here for you is going to be our website. Our website has tons of information on there. All of my study guides up to this one are on there currently. So you can find all of them there if you've lost them or you need access to them. And I don't respond to a message right away because I get a gajillion. So sometimes people get bumped down. But if you need access to it, it's going to be in the website. You can also find out information about our professors, our apprenticeships, our certifications, all that fun jazz. And then the last thing I'll pop into the chat here for you is going to be our YouTube page. This is where all the videos get posted for our classes. So if you miss a class or you want to rewatch a class, this is where you can go to do that. I think we have like 140 on there right now about a ton of different topics like herbology, we have Enochian magic, we have tarot, we have crystal magic, we have a bunch of stuff on there. So definitely just go take a peek. Again, we have a ton of stuff. Last little bit of housekeeping so we can jump into protection because like I said, I'm nervous we're not going to get through it all. I want to get through it all. A little bit about me very quickly. If you haven't been to classes with me before, I'm a solitary practitioner. I've been practicing for about 15 plus years. I'm a mystic and a gray practitioner. What that means is I pull from everywhere, every pantheon, multiple different paths, multiple different ways to practice. Multiple different cultures, and I pull from what people consider the love and light path and the left hand path. I don't look at things that way. I look at things very energetically. So that's why even in this class tonight, I am going over what people are going to consider baneful protection sources. I don't consider it that way. So that's why I'm teaching it. So again, that is who I am. I'm a great practitioner. I'm going to pull from everywhere. If something doesn't suit you and doesn't work for your path, I'm never going to feel offended. You pull what you need to pull from me. That's what I'm here for. Which class is this? It was supposed to be sex magic. It was changed because we didn't finish all of protection magic last week. We only got through half of the study guide. So when I did protection magic last week, I said that I was going to be changing it so that I could finish protection magic. So yes, it was originally sex magic. I don't know what date that got moved to, but I am still teaching the class, so don't worry about it. It didn't go anywhere. I just wanted to make sure that we finished everything that was in the study guide. Okay, so I don't see anything else in the study in this chat besides that. That's all I see. Okay. Fabulous. Okay, guys, we're gonna get going. So just a brief little simple explanation of what protection is. If you want a really, really detailed explanation, like I said, I did a class before on this. So you can definitely take a peek at that class when it gets posted. I went really, really detailed. I covered shielding, I covered energetic shielding, I covered using your own energy, I covered warding, I covered banishing, I covered a bunch of different stuff during that class. So if you missed it, definitely check it out. So where we're going to be starting tonight, like I said, basic thing for protection is it's keeping unwanted energy or things away from you. I say unwanted because I don't like the word negative, because what one person thinks is negative, another person's not going to think is negative. It's all about perspective in your past. So I say unwanted because it means you yourself personally do not want that entity, that energy, that thing, whatever it is that you are trying to keep away from you. So that's what protection magic is at the core, the most simplest way to explain that. So that's what we're going over. We're starting with tools tonight. We have a ton of tools to go over, lots of different kinds. I'll give you a rundown of lots of different ones you can use in the study guide. If you need the link to it, please put it in the chat because I can get it to you. But in the study guide, I did give you lots of different, very specific rituals, very specific spells as well for you guys to look at and pull from your past of what you want to use. So I won't break down every detail of how to do each and every one, but it will be in the study guide for you, just so that you know. So for tools, so a protection tool is an item, a thing. You can even have it, actually, I would say you could even use an animal as a tool if you really, really wanted to. I think technically, yes, I would consider an animal even a tool. Like if spirit guides are even considered tools. Using energy is even considered using a tool. But when I'm talking about this is more of like a physical, tangible item that you are using for some type of protection. Lots of different types of protection, whether it's to keep something out, whether it's to create a boundary and a border. That's what a tool can be used for. And I'm going to go over lots of different kinds and what you can use them for. So one of the first ones we'll go over, if you are in the study guide, we're starting on page 50. Oh, sex magic's being talked about. Okay, I'll get the link to the study guide. I just saw somebody said that they needed it. I'm just gonna pop it in there quick. Yeah, sex magic is really cool. I've used it a lot in my life. I've been with my husband for 13 years. I feel like that's a big reason why, honestly, because sex magic, not because like I make him stay with me, but because it enhances our experience. It enhances what we manifest together. And that's off topic. But yes, I'm very excited to teach that class. I'm sorry I had to bump it, but like I said, I really wanted to make sure I got all protection done for you guys. Okay, so again, with tools. First one we're going to start with is going to be the witch's ball. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. This is something that actually I really only started using about 4 or 5 years ago. It's actually a newer thing for me. I didn't really think about. But you can use them in a lot of different ways. You can use just the ball itself, and you can use it by putting a sigil simply on it. You can use it by consecrating it. You can use it by charging it. And you can use it for if it's small enough, the glass hand blown balls, you can keep it on your person. Otherwise, you can also use it for protection around your property as a placement, as a tool placement, and a holder for a boundary. Another awesome thing about these glass balls that you can do as well is some of them you can even open them up and you can place things inside of them. So you can add herbs, you can add salt, you can add graveyard dirt, you can add sage, you can add a lot of different things to it, and then you can close it up, and then you have that ball there. A big reason why I like using the glass balls is because it's clear and it can absorb moonlight. If you put it in a place where it can be charged underneath the moon, it can absorb sunlight as well, and then you're continuously charging it as well. Another form of the witch's balls is, I don't think people realize it, but when you put those big like gazing orbs in your garden, that's actually a form of witch's ball. That's a way to protect your property. That's a way to protect your plants. It's a way to harness prosperous growth and abundance within your garden, within your flowers, within all of the nature around you. I have a small one in my fairy garden. I'm going to be getting a bigger one to put in my yard. But those big glass balls, those are actually, like I said, those are witch's balls that you can use. There's Appalachian herbal witch's balls. I have them on there as a thing. That's kind of more of a cultural thing. If you have access to that magic and it's well part of your culture, definitely use it. I don't, because that's not something that I just don't want to go that route, but it is an option for you. And then you also have like modern ornamental witch's balls. So if you think about it, even glass ornaments that you put on a Christmas or Yule tree is considered a modern ornamental witch's ball. You can consecrate it. You can have sigils on it. You're putting energy and manifestation into it when it's coming around for a certain season, for a certain ritual, for a certain time of year. That energy and that protection staying with it to bring that energy with you. It's staying with your family. It's connecting to that ritual. It's connecting to that energy. It's connecting to that manifestation. So those are even like considered modern. There's also smaller ones that you can find that people actually like hand blow and they make that are considered a little bit more modern. But I usually see it more for the Christmas stuff. You'll see that those modern witches balls. My favorite way, like I said, to use them is I like the ones where you can actually put things in them. I don't prefer to bury witches' balls because they seem to be a lot more fragile. And I don't want that glass to break and I don't want that container to break. But I do like to place them around properties for part of my wardings for my property and in my home as well. They're really, really great for that. You can also attach strings to them to hang them like you would with a Christmas ornament as well, and place them on door handles. You can place them above door frames. It's a great, it's a great container, great way to hold that protection and that energy within it. A super common thing as well that people do, and the witches have been doing for a really long time, are witches' bells. If you haven't heard of it, it's a common thing to where you can actually hang witches' bells. You will consecrate them, you will bless them, you will charge them, and you hang them on your doors. They're there to be able to keep any unwanted spirits or entities that you don't want in your home. Again, that doesn't mean any and all. Specifically, it's unwanted. It's the ones that you specifically claim are going to be unwanted that you don't want in your home. It is very common practice to do 3 at a time. For one, the rule for everything. Rule 3 is in numerology super sacred. It's a sign of divinity. It's great for blessing. It's great for manifesting. So it's just really typical to see them in a sign in threes. They don't have to be in threes, but it is very, very common to do that. And usually when you hang them, you want to do some type of blessing, some type of intention. When you're hanging them, letting them know like that energy that you're manifesting there is for them to be guarding that doorway. It's for them to be guarding that home from anything that is unwanted by you. A lot of times I will specifically name out what is unwanted by me so that it is very clear on what my intention is. If it's a specific deity, if it's a specific energy, if it's a specific person, if it's a specific energy, like I will list it out when I am doing that blessing and that intention, to be very clear. But you don't have to. You can be as vague as you want. Again, it's your practice. It's up to you. But again, I'm just giving you pointers. Another common tool that you can use are rings. Rings are super, super common to be used for practice because of the alchemaic standpoint, because of the metal that you get to put into it, because of all the elements that you get to put into it. It becomes a personal item, a personal token that is with you at all times. So it's garnishing and harnessing that energy is with you all day. It also can be recharged repeatedly. It's the intention and energy can be changed. It can be cleansed and concentrated again over and over again. I love ring protection. I love rings, actually ring magic in general. I could teach a whole series on it, to be honest. So I'll make sure when you're doing ring protection, I do have one in the study guide. You always want to make sure you're doing the intention and setting the energy of specifically what you want to be protecting it for. So for example, like I have one to where I have really, it's really, really just bad luck. I don't know. It's not just like misfortune. It's like straight up just like bad luck. Like if I were to grab like a scratch off and scratch it, like I'm never, like it's never gonna, like it's not my thing. Like it's just super, super bad luck. So I actually keep a ring on me all the time. Like I will, like accidents that happen to me all the time. I'm super accident prone. Like it's ridiculous. So I actually have a protection ring on me for specifically for keeping away bad luck. And specifically, specific deities are also called and attached to that ring. I have a ring that's also for general protection. I have one that's for shielding from any unwanted energy, any unwanted spells, any unwanted astral projection coming my way, because I want to have control when people are accessing that realm around me. So I have a ring for that. So you can have different rings for different things. Like I said, you recharge them, you consecrate them, and you make sure that you're setting that intention. The words and verbiage can be whatever comes to you, whatever speaks to you. Just want to make sure you're gifting it that power, you're gifting it that energy, and you're gifting it that protection. You can even wear it on a chain too. That's super, super common. I see that super, super common if you don't like having it on your fingers or if you end up having with too many. There also are, like, I think I just need to teach a whole class on this now. Specific rings and specific fingers mean specific things, where you can place it for manifesting as well. So I'm actually going to add a whole class on that part. I'll just do a pre-recorded class and I'll put it on the website for that. Next, protection spell jars. These are my favorite, actually. I love protection spell jars. If you've never done one, for one, they're super affordable. They're super easy to do. You can put pretty much anything that you want in there. And mason jars are super easy to get a hold of. It's the witch's joke when we always have so many jars. This is a big reason why. So protection jars, also big reason why I super, super love them is you have the ability to not only like energetically seal it, you get to physically seal that energy inside of there, and then you can also seal it with wax on top of it. That's something that I like absolutely recommend doing and I love doing, is making sure that you're sealing that with wax all the way on top of that. It's 3 layers of seals there to make sure that energy stays contained within that container, and to make sure that it emanates what you want it to be emanating, and make sure that's also manifesting what you want it to be manifesting. Because part of protection is not just keeping unwanted things out, it's also making sure you're still filtering and allowing the things in that you want in. It's a filter that you get to choose and create what comes in those boundaries. You get to choose and create what stays out with those tools. You get to choose and create what comes in. With those protection jars, make sure that you always wash them, make sure you always cleanse them, make sure that you charge them, make sure that you consecrate them, bless them. If you work with sigils, you can always put sigils on, in, whether it's with paper, you can put it around the jar, you can put it on the lid of the jar. Sigils are super, super great with protection jars and making sure you have that added into there. And then, like I said, you can put anything that you want into there for protection. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll even write out spells on pieces of paper that are put in there when, like the one that I'll be casting when I'm actually like sealing it and shutting it. You can write the spell in there. You can write intentions on paper and put it in there. You can have incense. You can have herbs. You can have salt. You can have graveyard dirt. Eggshells are fantastic to put in protection jars. Black salt's great to put in protection jars. I also like to put bay leaves in there to try to bring prosperity and abundance as well, to filter that in and not leave that unwanted and out. And then I also typically do put cinnamon in there as well. Always salt, because I don't like to put salt in the earth. So this is where I can get a salt added to my protection, because I know it's not going to harm the earth in any way, shape, or form. It's going to be inside this container. It's not going to seep in. It's going to be inside of there. Eggshells, like I said, are great. I love putting eggshells in there. Black pepper is great for protection to have in there as well. Any of the correspondence I've given you guys. You can also put candles in there inside of there. A lot of times when I'm setting protection jars, I will not only seal it on the top of the lid with wax while I am reciting that spell, while I'm calling forth that energy, while I am setting that container, and while I am reciting whatever prayer and invocation is going into that protection jar. I will actually put a candle inside and burn it at the same time. So that you're also like getting that element of fire, you're getting that element of passion. You have all the other elements typically when you put things inside the jar as well, usually. One you might be missing is going to be water. Sea salt is a great one to also put in there. You can also put tourmaline in there. You can also do kind of a little bit more baneful if you'd like. You can put razor blades. You can put rusty nails. You can put, I usually like to keep my skulls for my altar, but you can also put animal skulls and animal carcasses in there for protection as well if you'd like. There's lots of things that you can do with those protection jars. When you seal them, make sure that you're being very, very intentional with not only the fact that like you're energetically sealing it. When you're physically sealing it, you're doing both at the same time. You're energetically sealing it, you're physically sealing it, you're shutting that protection in, you're shutting that manifestation in, you're creating that whole container. Then what you can do with these jars, honestly, anything. You can put them anywhere. I have one in my car. I have one above my kitchen stove. I have one at every doorway. I have them on my window sills. These I will actually bury because they're thicker glass, so I'm not very concerned about it breaking. So I will actually bury these and return these in the earth. There's one at every cardinal direction point of my property. Buried with protection spells in them. I reset them every major wheel of the year. You can have them. I had one that was in my drawer at my office at work. That's the awesome thing about this too, is like it's portable protection that can be with you. I have multiple of these sealed on my altar. Like protection jars are amazing. Like I said, I absolutely love them. There are in the study guide so many different recipes that I put in here for you. I think like I put 4 or 5 different pages. So take a look at it. But like I said, you can really, really do whatever you want with them. when it comes to protection. Any of the correspondence I've given you in this study guide can go in there. Any of them can go in there. I'm peeking in the chat really quick just to see. Thank you for giving the study guide, honey. I appreciate it. Can't open the study yet. Yeah, that's weird. What does it say when you try to open it? What does graveyard dirt do? So graveyard dirt is very protective because it brings forth energies of ancestors and because it's such sacred ground. So you're bringing in such sacred ground as protection when you're using graveyard dirt. You can use dirt just from the earth as well. But graveyard dirt, it brings in ancestral, and like I said, it doesn't even have to be your ancestors. It just brings in that ancestral magic. It brings in that ancestral protection. It brings in that. Bones. I don't agree with, but everybody has their own path. I don't think it's that dangerous. What do bones do? So bones add a level of layer of protection because you're bringing in the element of death. And death can be super, super protective. It's also transformative energy that you're bringing in. And then you're bringing in also like that spirit of that animal with that protection as well. That's a big key reason. But the big reason is because you're bringing in the element of death. And death can be super protective and super comforting. Go ahead, Michelle.
Isn't graveyard sorry. Isn't graveyard dirt also good for curses?
For purses.
Curses.
Oh, curses? Oh, yeah, you can use them for curses too. Curses are a form of protection, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Next in the study guide, we have black salt. If you don't know what black salt is, it's super, super amazing. It's literally, salt is actually a super basic magical ingredient that you have in your kitchen, just basic salt as well. Like it's for purifying, it's for cleansing, it's for protection. It's a pretty abundant element and resource that you have that comes from the earth. But when you sit here and you make black salt, it's something else. So the level of protection that you get from it, it I think the biggest reason why it ends up being so protective and so potent is because of how much of your physical energy, your manifestation energy, your magical energy goes into this when you're making it, when you're grinding it, and when you're making it, and the intentions that go into it. There's also a lot of different ways that you can make it. So depending on how you make it, that also makes it more potent versus others. So for example, I don't know very many practitioners that do this. I only know of 2 others that I've spoken to that do this. But when I make my black salt, like I will not make it with anything that has not been charged underneath an entire lunar cycle. So my salt sits charged underneath every single phase of the moon. My ashes and my ashes, my iron scrapings, all the ingredients, like they sit underneath the entire lunar cycle. I refuse, like I won't. It's just it adds that charging, it adds that protection, it adds that magic, it adds that connection to everything. But there's a lot of different ways that you can make it. The biggest reason too why it is so powerful is because it's protection and cleansing and purifying at the same time. It's one of the most powerful and basic ways that you can filter in and out. And that's why, again, why this is so amazing. When it comes to making it, again, there's lots of different ways. Everybody does it a little differently. Like I said, I charge my stuff. Most people don't. Like I said, I've only come across other people that do. I did put an exact ingredient, like recipe in there for you. You can do things a little bit differently. My recipe differs a little bit than the one that I put on you. I put a pretty basic one in there. But it's sea salt and it's ashes. It's black pepper. It's cast iron scrapings. Some people put food dye in there. I don't. I don't like to do that, but some people do. So I added that in the recipe for you. And you're really mixing those together. Like you're mixing all of those together. I put proportions in the study guide for you. And I use ashes from my fire pit. I use ashes that I've collected for my incense. Like, I don't throw away any of my incense ashes. I don't throw away any of my candle ashes. I keep it all. It all gets mixed in together. And you literally sit there and you scrape it together and you grind it together in a clockwise fashion. Like, it's literally grinding and scraping and grinding and scraping and grinding and scraping these ingredients together. You don't have to have a mortar and a bowl, but it's a lot easier if you do. Um, you can use just any of your basic kitchen utensils. Just it's a lot of stirring. It's really, really just a lot of stirring and pressure and moving. While you're doing this in your clockwise fashion, you can either chant, you can pray, you can sing, you can hum, but you're making sure that you're visualizing your intentions, you're visualizing the energy, you're visualizing the color, the manifestation, everything that you want to bring into that black salt. Like I said, typically it's for protection and clear cleansing and purifying. That's usually what this is for. So you're gonna want to be visualizing those manifestations. However you visualize it. If it's an image that works for you to visualize protection, go for it. If it's just the word, go for it. If there's like a certain hum, if there's a certain, there are specific chants that you can use. There's some that I absolutely love doing that I use with it. Their specific prayers, because you can even pull deities' protections into this. I work with deities, so all of mine have deity energy into it. So a lot of my prayers of protection involve that. But you're making sure that you're doing that the whole time while you're grinding this stuff. So that's also why some people don't always do this because it can be a little time consuming. It depends on how much you need. The amount that I'm making right now is insane, actually, honestly. It's been taking me 2 weeks and I'm not done yet. Do you prefer charging each ingredient versus charging the completed project? Yes, I prefer charging each ingredient. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I literally cannot answer why. It's just how I feel about it. It's just what my past says to me. But I can understand charging it all together as a finished project too. I can totally get that. But for some reason my brain tells me it all needs to be charged separately because they're each separate elements that are bringing separate things to that as a whole, and I feel like they need to be honored that way. See, look what you did. You helped me answer my own question. Thank you for that. You helped me understand something that I do. Thank you, Morgan. Pepper, salt, and charcoal. Yeah, you can use pepper, salt, and charcoal too. That definitely works. Ashes from the graveyard. Someone said if you throw someone's pick in an open fire. Yeah, I don't agree with that. But everybody has their own path and their own things. Michelle, is this a new question or from the old one? If it's a new one, go for it.
No one. I also heard that you can add eggshells to it.
Yes, I do that often. It's not something I do all the time because I'm not the best at remembering to keep my eggshells. But yes, you can add eggshells to it. I do it often. I can't, I'm not the best at remembering to keep them. If you do use eggshells, I recommend making sure that you clean them with water and let them dry out before you start grinding them up. So they're not quite so slimy and gross when you are doing that.
That, and I was also told that you should make sure you clean it out. The inside's really good, that white stuff inside, so no bacteria grows
Yep,
for anybody wants that wants to use that.
yep, 100%. Yep.
But I love hearing your ways. I never heard of some of your ways. Thank you.
Then you're
Always learn something from you. Love you. Bye.
Let's see. If you're doing a working, do you call spirits and deities? And if so, is there a prayer to invoke the spirits so they will help you, or do you just use the moon cycles? Okay, my question, Melissa, you've been to quite a few of my classes, so it's all of the above. I use all of the above. I call for the universal energy because to me, deities are not the end all and be all, the highest higher of the arc high of the archy. It's actually the universe, and then the multiverse is above that. So for me, I actually call in the universe and the multiverse itself, and then I will call in the specific deities that I want to work with. I don't use every single one every time. And sometimes some salts I call in a specific one. So there's sometimes where I'm calling in Hades, or I'm calling in Lilith, or I'm calling in the Morgans. Like I'll pick different ones. And sometimes I use them all. Sometimes I split them up separately, and this is just the universal energy for protection. This is with a specific deity. So I've done it all. But I always have the moon cycles included because I always want it connected to the moon cycles. I want it connected to that magic, that intuition, and I want it connected to the earth and the cycles of nature. So I do always have that part. Okay, honey, go ahead.
Can you also use like cigarette ashes? I would just think that'd be dirty and not exactly protecting.
Yes. I don't smoke cigarettes, so I have not personally used it, but I could say yes because I have used ashes from other things that you can smoke. So yes.
Okay, would it be bad to do it if you do, would it be bad to use the ashes of a cigarette if you don't actually like cigarettes? Like I don't smoke, but my parents do.
No, I don't think so because I don't drink at all. Like I am completely sober from alcohol, but I'll use it in spells and I'll use it in rituals and things. So I don't think that's a problem.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Um, is there Melissa? Send me a DM so I remember to send you one. Those are pretty personal, so I will send you one. I will write one for you. Just send me a DM so I remember. I do that too, Alicia. I have worked through 11 past lives so far. I think we might be at the end. But yes, I call them past lives too because it's super important. Every life you live matters. So you can definitely call forth that energy for protection for sure. That's not a problem. One thing when it comes to black salt, make sure you don't eat it. I kind of can't believe I'm having to say this, but please don't eat it. It's not edible. Like, don't eat it. You're gonna get sick. Don't let your animals eat it. Make sure you're careful and you're safe with that. So just make sure that they don't do that. How you can preserve it and keep it for a super long time? Store it in mason jars. You can actually keep it fresh for up to 2 to 3 years in a mason jar. And the awesome thing about the mason jars too is you can charge it if you want to. It's clear, so you can keep recharging it. And you can keep getting cleansed. You can get purified and keep charging it. So that's with black salt. I do have in the study guide a small little thing for protective salt barriers. If you'd like to do one, you can. Typically make sure you open up all your windows and your doors. You want to make sure you sweep all your floors. Oh no, hold on. My headphone just fell out of my ear. Um, you want to make sure that you're sweeping all your floors and that you clean thoroughly and you vacuum. You want to make sure you mop your floors and you clean it all. When you mop it, you can actually like mix salt in. I don't recommend doing this if you have animals, but if you don't, that's something that you can do. And then if you like to and you're okay with having salt around, if you don't have animals, but so many people do. I just don't like having salt all over their paws. But you can use salt as a protective barrier around your home. You can line, like I said, every single window, every single doorway. This is not something I personally do. I don't like doing that. But it is definitely something that you can do. Um, hold on, it looks like it's has. So I don't work with hoodoo because I consider that more of a close practice. So I can't really answer that question. If you're talking about black salt, maybe you can water it down, but I don't know if that's the best way to work with it. You can do protective oil. That's a great idea. I actually love doing protective oil. I think I talked about protective oil earlier. Oh, I'm gonna get to banishing oil in a little bit, which is protective oil. But yes, I prefer to do oil over salt for barriers. But I do have that in there. Next tool that you can use, brooms. This is super common witches tool. It's a symbol. There's also superstition tied to it. There's lots of different things that brooms can be used for. It's been used actually for marriage. You can use it as a tool for protection in marriage and good luck and prosperity in marriage. You can also have cross brooms, like two literally like crisscross like this, hung or near your door, to protect from ill will and hexes specifically. You can also have it straight across the top like this, which will help keep unwanted visitors and entities out and unwanted energy. You can also use brooms as a magical tool to clear out energy for protection. You can use it as a magical tool to sweep protection energy throughout every inch of your home. All you have to do is make sure that you charge it and you set that intention and use that energy while you are sweeping. Every time that I'm sweeping my home, I'm not just cleaning. I'm literally adding protection. I'm purifying. I'm cleansing. Like everything's coming with me. Like when I'm sweeping. You can also step over a broom if you feel like you have an unwanted spirit, entity, or anything coming near you. You can actually put a broom over like on the ground, and it's said that that symbolizes like a threshold and a barrier, and you can step over it and actually possibly unattach it and create some protection. And then I think that's everything. That I think I covered everything you can do with brooms. There's a lot you can do with brooms. You can also use it as your personal talisman too. I've seen some witches use it as their personal talisman. Instead of using like a wand, they prefer to have a broom. I personally don't use a wand either. I use a katana. Yeah, it's the same as jumping over a broom when you're praying. Yeah, that's definitely. Unprotectables. Do you have any input on Florida water? I've heard that if Florida water works. Yeah, I have it listed as a way that you can use it for protection. It's just not something personally I've used before. I use moon water. I prefer moon water. And I've also used sun water, and eclipse. But I guess I've used some rose water. That's not my favorite way to go either. I've heard that it works, but I just don't. I don't have any. I personally just haven't used it. Okay, next tool that we have here is creating a knot talisman. So there is a ton of magic in knots alone. When it comes to knot magic, I could teach literally a whole class on knot magic as well. This is why this is so big, and I'm doing so many brief things because there's so much protection and there's so many ways that you can protect yourself. But so with the knot talisman is a talisman of an object that you have charged with specific energy with a specific quality. And it's usually a passive talisman that you use, which means that it's just usually something that's on you as a person or is somewhere and it's just kind of left there as like passive protection. Can you guys hear me? Because I think my headphones just died.
We can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Yes, we can hear you.
Cool. We're going without the headphones, which is fine with me. So it, like I said, passive, which means that it's not something that you're really like actively having to call to. It's just there. Once you create it, it's a talisman that you can call to and use. When it comes to creating a knot talisman, you can choose specific colors for specific things. I have an entire table in the study guide for what each color can mean. For example, white for purification. Black, you can conjure up the aspects of Saturn, which helps you absorb and remove negative energy. It does unblocking. You can do red for passion, power, and sex. So there's lots of different colors that you can use. You can use more than one color. You can choose to do literally gray and it will pull from kind of anything that you choose to charge it to is usually how gray usually works for me. Also that's very balanced. So I think it's also why it works that way. You can also decide on how many numbers of knots you want to use. So those knots will determine to numerology. So if you don't know much about numerology, you can always look up basic numerology and get basic answers to help you decide your knots. Otherwise, Alex actually is teaching a class now on that. So I definitely suggest doing that. Numerology pulls up with so many different practices. You can use basic classic power numbers are going to be using 7, 9, 13, 21. I usually see 7 and 9. Those are usually the most common ones. Going any more than that, people get it gets tiresome. I usually see 7 or 9. But if you have a lucky number, you can choose to use a lucky number as well. I personally do 13 because my number is 3. And if I do something not in threes, I kind of lose it. a little bit. So I personally do 13, but again, your choice can be your own. When you're doing these, you want to make sure you're sitting in a very comfortable position. You perform some type of balancing breathing. So if you know the box breathing technique or any type of balanced breathing exercise that works for you, make sure that you're breathing, you're getting into a clear mind, a meditative state, your sacred temple, your sacred space, your sacred container, same verbiage for all of that. But you want to make sure that you're in that space. And then while you're holding your thread, you're making sure that you're focusing your intention on the purpose of that talisman while you're tying those knots. You tie it one knot at a time. And with each knot, you're making sure that you're chanting or you're saying a prayer, you're humming, you're doing whatever you want to do to set that intention, to set that protection, to set whatever it is that you're setting for that. Typically, you want to start from left to right, but it's really up to you and in your path either way. I personally just like doing that way because I'm ambidextrous, but I like the left side more. I think it's because I just like to give it more love because everybody hates it. So usually I start that side anyways. But it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just don't go backwards. Make sure once you start from one direction, you keep moving that way. You want to tie the talisman in whatever way that you want. So usually I make sure that I have a couple inches in between each of my knots. So I'll tie my knot. I make sure that it's going to be enough to where it's not going to come out. So sometimes I'll like triple loop it when I'm tying it. And then again, this is a passive thing. So you can keep it on your body. You can hang it from, if you want to do protection for while you're driving, you can hang it from your rearview mirror. So you have a knot talisman hanging in your car for driving. You can have it underneath your pillow while you're sleeping. You can hang one in your children's room. So there's just so many things that you can do with it. And it's going to be, this is one that I don't ever really go back and recharge. If I make a new talisman, I make a new one. This one is, like I said, is super passive. You can really leave it there. This also is known as the witch's ladder. Some people consider this a witch's ladder. There's a specific chant that can be attached to the witch's ladder. I have it specifically in the study guide if you want to use that specific one. But you can, like I said, it's not magic. You can do whatever you want with it. Want to know what's really weird about me and being ambidextrous too is I didn't become ambidextrous until I was an adult. Until I was really forced to be it because of circumstances and I was just too busy and overloaded. And my son and I needed to like use two hands all the time, but literally it didn't happen until I became an adult. So it was really weird. Let's see, I'm gonna jump in the chat really quick. Yes, honey, there is an awesome numerology guide on study guide that Alex did on the website. Thank you for mentioning that. I should have mentioned that. You're welcome. I use it for binding too, and for protection bracelets. We should get to binding tonight. Okay, so the next thing that I have in here, actually, some might consider this next thing in here actually baneful. Some people actually consider return to sender spells baneful. This is actually kind of controversial. Because it's considered sending bad intentions towards somebody. So some people don't like doing return to sender spells. I don't see a problem with them, like at all. At all. I personally don't believe in the rule of like the Wiccan rule of three, the law of three. That's not my belief. So I don't believe like that's not something that I practice. So I don't think like it's a return to three. This is just a protective shield is how I see it. But also sending it back. So you're protecting yourself by returning what's coming at you. When it comes to the return to sender spell, you want to use a red or black candle, a small mirror, a needle, olive oil, rue, and thyme. You use a needle to be able to carve the sender's name into the candle. Big thing is why this is controversial is because if you don't 100% know that somebody's sending something at you, do you really want to do something to send something back? The reason why I disagree with this is because this is specifically a return to sender spell. So if somebody's not sending something at you, you can't send something back. So that's why I just don't get why this is super controversial. That's my view on it. So, because like this is very specifically what is being sent to you. So again, if you know the name, if it's unknown, you can do my enemy, you can do sometimes I literally just put like unwanted, like negative energy. Sometimes I just put, sometimes I've put my family's last name just because like I have a lot of issues with my family as a whole. So it's just like I don't know who's doing what, I don't know who's saying what, but I just don't want it coming at me anymore. So I'm just gonna put the whole last name on there and the whole family is gonna be included. So you can do it a lot of different ways. If you know the specific person's name, again, you can put their name on there. But again, that's the reason why some people think it's controversial. You're gonna pour a dime-sized drop of olive oil into your hands. You're gonna rub it together. You're gonna be doing this to infuse your intent. This is you pretty much anointing and consecrating that candle. So you're gonna anoint the candle with the oil. You're gonna start from the middle and go to the top of the wick, and you'll flip the candle over, and you'll rub the middle of the candle, the base. You'll then dress it with the herbs that you brought, that the thyme, and then what you're gonna do you're going to place the candle on the top of the mirror. This is a form of mirror magic. So this is another reason why I think it's controversial because in the witchcraft community and pagan community, mirrors are a very controversial topic. So you will place this candle on top of a mirror. You will then light the candle and recite an incantation of sending your energy back to where it came from. Some people do like to use, there's specific Psalms in the Bible that people like to use for protection. A lot of Wiccans like to use it too, so that's why I included that. You can also, like when it comes to the incantation and sending the energy back, you can call forth deity energy to help you send it back. You can call forth ancestors. You can call forth your spirit guides. You can call forth whatever energy that you would like to help send that energy back. But that is what you're doing, is you're calling forth. Why are mirrors controversial? They're tied to the Fae, for one, which Fae are controversial in the witchcraft community because they are. And then I think intentionally trying to harm someone is very, very different from simply something. Yes, I agree. I totally agree with you, Katie. And I think that's why I feel the way that I do about it. But other people, they don't see it that way. And again, Marissa, so another reason why mirrors are also controversial is a lot of the magic that's tied to it is pretty controversial magic alone. And then it's tied to shadow work, and a lot of people for a very long time were not okay with shadow work. Shadow work was seen as part of the left-hand path. Shadow work was seen as something that you just don't do because people were very much pushing the love and light only path. And mirrors are used greatly in shadow work because mirrors are a reflection of you and they help show you your shadow self. So that's another reason why they're very controversial. I'm going to teach a whole series of mirror magic because I love mirror magic. It's also another form of scrying. It's really powerful scrying as well. It's really great. Okay. Next thing that I have in the study guide, we are at simmer pots. If you guys have never done a simmer pot, this is actually a type of tool that you can use as well. It's not just for making your house smell good. It's actually for protection and it's magic. It's for calling forth manifestation and intentions. Simmer pots are great ways to get that entire aroma, that entire like vapor, that entire steam, that entire energy from the element of like water, that transformation, that protection throughout your entire home. And you can leave it there for a really, really long time. That's the other thing is too, is like you can leave it there for quite a while. Now don't let it go all the way down, you destroy your pot or start your house on fire. Like please be safe and mindful of it. But you can literally, simmer pots are amazing for protection because depending on the herbs that you put in there and what you put in there with it, it gives you so much. I also love using them for calling forth prosperity and abundance. They're great for that. I put a couple of spell ingredients in there as well for you. I love how every class gives you more ideas. Thank you. I know, Katie. It keeps giving me more and more. My list of things I'm teaching is so long. I'm actually going to start doing a bunch of pre-recorded classes because you guys are asking for so much and I just can't keep up. So I'm going to start doing pre-recorded classes so you guys can just go watch it and it's just going to be there for you. Has any of your spells backfired or gone wrong? Yeah, for sure. I've had stuff go wrong. I've had stuff not go the way that I wanted to. I've had stuff manifest not the way that I intended because I wasn't very specific with my words. I've had deities get pissed off and mad at me. Yes. Some self-gain spells, no. I haven't had too many of those go that wrong, actually. Okay, so I'm out of the chat. We'll go back to study guide. Front door protection. I feel like I already touched on this when I did warding and banishing. But I guess we're gonna go over it again. So you can have a bowl of salts just by your door. You can also have protection underneath your welcome mats. If you have a welcome mat, you can have sigils underneath. You can put sigils also on the ground, like if you have chalk or stairs or cement, you can actually like draw sigils underneath your mat so that you have sigils there. You can have evil eye talismans above there. You can have a rosemary plant next to your door. You can have a sage plant next to your door. You can have protection runes above the seal. Above the seal, you can, if you are okay with it, you can put salt as a barrier. This is a space that like I make sure gets cleansed and saged every single time I cleanse and sage. Like I never miss doing the barrier around my front door. I have a ton of talismans around my front door. I have one that is in a owl that is Lilith specifically for protection. I have a couple other like family talismans that are there as well for protection. My front doors, it's insane how much protection I have there. There's a lot of things that you can do. Hold on, a really long thing just popped. Does anyone know the answer? Can someone who doesn't know has practiced witchcraft hex and curse you unknowingly to them? For example, oh yes, there is a such things as there's generational patterns in psychology and there's generational patterns in magic. Things can be passed down from generation that's definitely a possibility. This is a topic I can actually really personally get into. Oh, yes. This is a big one. If you have questions, I actually would recommend reaching out to me personally on that. My mother did something with me before I was born, so trust me. Very aware. It is something that could definitely be done. Okay, so I'm getting past front doors. I pretty much covered that. There's really not much else that you can really put whatever you want there. Where am I at? My study guide now. Okay, keys. Keys are another tool that are great for protection that you can use. Keys are a symbol to open and unlock. They literally are the key to boundaries. They are the key to places. They are the keys to doorways. They are the keys to other realms, keys to yourself. Like they're literally what opens and shuts things. They are the barrier in between places. That's a big reason why they're so powerful when it comes to protection. They're also seen as a worldwide symbol in almost every single culture as good luck and new opportunities. So that's a great reason for them to use them for protection as well, because you're filtering that in. You're allowing that to be filtered in. They also lock the doors and be able to protect us from anything that's going to take us down a destructive path. They can protect us from intruders. They're a huge part of folklore and magic throughout centuries, throughout human history. And keys are incorporated in a lot of spiritual and magical practices. So there's certain gods that are actually specifically tied to keys that you can call to for protection. Hecate is one of them. I've taught an entire class on her that you can definitely check out if you'd like to. There's quite a few others as well that you can call to specifically. Keys were also even like in Christianity and the Christian church, they're seen as very powerful. So like it's a very like universal symbol. It's never been forgotten. Blacksmiths were like it's one of the key things they really needed to learn how to make. Old Lord literally said that like the power of a church, like the power of the deity within that church was literally held within that lock and key. To be able to open and to allow people to even have access to that. So it's a big reason why they're seen as great ways. There's also like throughout a lot of different things, there's the keys of Solomon to the King of Solomon. So you have that showing up in a lot of different ways as well. Hecate has her 9 keys for transformation. So keys are great, like they're all over the place. You You can use keys by make sure that you cleanse them, you consecrate them. You can use any type of key. It can be some type of old key. It can be a key from your house. It can be a car, any key. It can be a symbol of a key. You can simply draw a key. I actually have a sigil on my altar that's actually like permanently etched in that incorporates a key for protection. It's on the center, it's underneath the center of my altar. So you can use it in like literally just as a symbol as well. But like I said, you can use any key. You can use it, you want to cleanse it, you want to consecrate it, you want to bless it, you want to charge it. However you charge it, whether that's within your energy, energy of the moon, energy of the earth. You can, like I said, so many different ways to charge it. I talked about charging in the first class. You can charge it, like I said, so many different ways for charging and cleansing. Make sure that you do that. And then it's the same thing when you are turning it into a tool and a talisman as everything else. You're going to chant, you're going to pray, you're going to hold that intention, you're going to hold that energy. You can wear it around your neck as a good luck charm. You can place it inside of protection jars. You can place it above barriers around your home. You can have it in your car for protection for driving. There's so many different ways that you can do it. You can also use keys for divination. They can be used for protection for divination as a small thing that you can hold on to. I've used it as a small object that I hold on to for protection during astral projection as well. Because it is a small thing and they're pretty powerful symbol across all cultures and planes. Because they represent liminal deities as well is a great reason why they're also protection. And you can even like literally just slip them in your pocket. They're pretty small and easy to keep in your pocket and keep on your person. I have a lot of super detailed instructions on how to prepare and how to turn one of those into a talisman and how to use those in the study guide. If it's something that calls to you, definitely take a look at it. Okay. Let's see. I don't think I have any. Let's see, any huge questions. How do I protect? I've given you so many ways to protect yourself. You can protect all of these ways are ways that you can protect yourself. And then all of the ways in my first class. Everything in this study guides are ways that you can protect yourself. Everything in the study guide. Okay, so I don't see any other questions. So we're on to banishing. Some people consider this a baneful or left hand pass as well, because they consider it more of a negative energy because you're like warding. You're literally like banishing is like they will not be allowed to like come back. Like you're completely like eradicating. Like you're annihilating something from your life. Like it's literally means like you are completely getting rid of. And some people don't see that. They don't agree with that in their path. That's not part of their path. So they consider that more baneful. They consider that more left-handed. So again, banishing can be kind of controversial. There's a lot of different techniques to this. There's a lot of different ways to do this. This is a technique to where if you have somebody that you just really, really need out of your life and cord cutting hasn't done the trick, all other ways haven't working, banishing's kind of your next step. But again, banishing is eradicating and annihilating something. Like it is straight up removing it. You are not allowed anywhere near me, my life force, my energy, my property, my space, my home again. So again, it's just up to your path and what you want to do with that. How you perform your banishing ritual is going to be totally up to you. Sometimes the ingredients are going to be as simple as literally just a handful of salt and a black candle and your intention, and that's all you need. Other times it can be a lot more intense. You could need certain herbs. You could need some blood magic could be a part of it. There could be a lot of different things. So it really just depends on what type and how far and what you really want to do and what part of your path, what's part of your path. Sometimes banishing may not be enough during your ritual because you may not believe in yourself enough. You may not be, the intention may not be rooted enough. That's one thing with banishing is like you have to, it needs to be a very rooted intention. You need to understand like this is This is literally annihilating and cutting off this energy. It is completely eliminating it. So if you aren't 100% into it, a lot like it's not, that intention's not going to set. So you may need to cast something different, like a cord cutting or a binding or doing some type of hex breaking, or something like that, if you feel like a banishing didn't work. I put quite a few different ways to do banishings in the study guide for you. I have a list of banishing herbs. You can use basil, you can use black pepper, you can use dragon's blood for a scent and an herb, you can use oak, onions, you can use sage, salt, thistles, thorns, wolfsbane. If anything is poisonous though, please be careful. In the study guide, I have broken down what each specific herb can actually do for you for banishing. I'm not going to go through each and every one right now because I want to make sure I get through everything tonight. So please take a look at those if you're interested in banishing. It'll break down what they all do. I also have how to make a DIY banishing oil. So this is not just a protection oil. Like I said, this is banishing. So if you want to completely eliminate and eradicate a person, an energy, and a thing, that is what this oil will do. I also put one in here. My friend told me to call it this. I thought it was funny, but Creeper Be Gone. It's really to get rid of your exes. I feel like in a lot of my classes, people are asking how to get rid of their exes. So I felt like I needed to repeat this. So this is actually a great way to be able to specifically get rid of your exes. It's a ritual that I put in there. To be able to do that. It includes banishing oils, and black candles, and a small piece of paper and a photo, and repeating the banishing spell or chant. It's super, super easy. I also have a ritual in here for banishing illness, because you can actually banish and eliminate and eradicate illness as well. I want to preface this doesn't mean like this is like cold and flu illness. This isn't like severe illness. This isn't like also like severe mental illness. If I could have banished away my borderline personality disorder, my OCD, my DID, like if I could have banished that away, I would have. That's not, this is like banishing like the cold and things like that. There are some things magic cannot do. Some people don't do shots. Some people don't do vaccines. Think it would help with asthma flare-ups. You know what, Katie? I haven't tried that. I probably should, because my asthma is not, it keeps getting progressively worse the older that I get. I should maybe see if it works. Yeah, I don't know. It might. We can see. But I feel like because that's chronic and because it's the way your lungs are structured and how they work, that it might not work for it. I've tried Reiki for it. It hasn't helped that much. I've tried. But I've heard Reiki actually does. Somebody threw it in the chat, but for me personally, it didn't work that great for it. Yeah, see, there's some people that can't do shots. That's why that's all I said. There's some people that don't do shots for lots of different reasons. Okay, so again, if you're interested in banishing, please take a look at all the different types and things that I have in there for you. Well, you can not get shots for other reasons too. I don't want this to turn into a debate about vaccines, though. I would like us to just accept that everybody has their own more personal opinions on that and not continue on that, please. Okay, so next I have a simple protection spell in here for you. It uses salt, cleansing tools, actual home cleaning supplies, lots of different rituals that you can use with it. So take a look at that. Oh, that's super cool, Michelle. I absolutely love that. I am not that far in Reiki yet. I love that. That takes a lot of work and dedication. Congrats on that. Okay, so next thing that I have in my study guide for protection, freezer spells. This is another thing that some may consider baneful. Some consider this part of the left-hand path. Again, it really just depends on your path, your personal beliefs, your personal system. The reason why they consider this is because it is literally utilizes your freezer. It literally utilizes the element of ice to freeze a person, to freeze capabilities. It literally takes away willpower. It's Some say it's considered a closed tradition. I don't believe that way. Some again also believe that it's considered baneful, considered as part of the left hand path. Not what I follow. I have a whole history actually in the study guide if you want to know like the whole history of where freezer spells come from. Definitely take a look at it, read it. It's super interesting. It actually comes from like an actual like freezer company. It's super interesting. They started it as like a gimmick and then it just like took off. It's actually super, super interesting. But with freezer jars, so you do it to be able, a lot of times what you're doing is you're sealing a person from being able to have, like you're freezing them from having the ability to disrupt you. That's the best way that I can use to use that word. You're freezing off, like you're literally like freezing off in that element of ice, that ability to have anything to do with you until you unthaw them really. You can never unthaw them. You can always leave them in there. And I keep saying them because you can do energies as well. I feel like most people actually put people into freezer jars. That's usually what I use them for. So for example, like my narcissistic mother, who I have no contact with, she's in a freezer jar. She's been in one for a while. I at times have put some of my siblings in there. I have at times put some of my friends in there because they just I needed the space, I needed my boundaries met, and like we're not getting along. I have put some famous people that I didn't want to get elected into freezer jars. So they're like, I put energies in there that I don't want around me. I have put toxic family dynamics in there that I don't want around me. I have put a lot of things. So you can freeze, you can also like use freezer spells to also preserve something and keep something there. Because remember, protection's about filtering things in and out. So you can also freeze the intention of preserving a love for somebody. You can freeze somebody to preserve an intention of a good friendship. But you can also free it, like I said, to bind them and keep them away from you. You can freeze a specific situation as well. If you keep butting heads with somebody at work and you keep fighting over the same situation over and over again at work, you can put that specific situation freeze into that freezer spell. These are, like I said, they've become super, 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 super popular. I have a long list in here of how you can use them for intentions, how you can use them to keep people away. So take a look at that. I have a couple different methods in here as well for how you can do them. So you can take a look at how to do them as well. Some of them also do adding lemon. If you add lemon into it, I love doing that. Adding lemon, it adds a little bit of an extra kick. It adds a little bit of an extra spice and a flavor to it. I've also added cayenne pepper into freezer spells as well. I love adding cayenne pepper. It gives it a little bit of extra protection. It gives it a little bit of an extra kick. It makes it a little bit more sour. But you can, like I said, add pretty much anything to it. I try not to use glass things because I don't know, they're probably not gonna shatter, but I just get nervous about it. I live in Minnesota. I've seen plenty of things shattered. I didn't think were gonna shatter because of the cold. You can put it in plastic bags. You can use a lot of different things. When it comes to freezing a specific person, you can use an image of that person and place the image inside of there. You can write their name. You can write the intentions that have to do with that person specifically. You can also add herbs for banishing, herbs for binding. Like I said, pepper, anything like that for protection. And then you place them in your freezer. You make sure that you're there in your freezer. And you make sure that you're sealing them in any whatever way that you seal them. And again, in the study guide, I have lots of different ways of what you can say, how you can do it, what you can put into it, things like that. And again, it's all, if you don't want to use them, you don't have to. Just pull what's going to be good for you in your path. Another common thing that we have for protection are obviously protection symbols. In the study guide, I've broken down a bunch of them and what they specifically mean to you, but some common ones that you're going to see that you're going to have in here broken down. Go ahead and read them because again, I want to get through everything. That's why I have the study guides for you guys too. So there are a lot of Norse runes that are great to use and a lot of like other runes that you can use. The Elgi's rune from the Norse and Viking protection symbol is great. You also have the pentacle, you have the Mars symbol, you have the Hamsa, you have the Eye of Horus, you have the hexagram of Solomon, you have the cross spears, you have the triqueta, you have a lot of different, you can also even use a Christian cross is even considered a symbol of protection. A Celtic cross is considered a symbol of protection. All of those can be used in any way, shape, or form. You can use angels are considered a form of protection. I 1000% agree with that. I think people not I think people have a misconception of what angels actually are, but they are great for protection. They aren't these fluffy, like light-hearted winged beings. They're actually like, if you think, they're soldiers in the Bible wielding fiery swords. So they're great. They're great symbols to use for protection as well. Great to use for that as well. Evil eyes, great to use as well for protection. I use demons for protection. I absolutely love using demons for protection. Demons are great to call forth for protection. The Eye of Horus is one of my favorites too. I absolutely love using the Eye of Horus. Okay, we still have more protection spells in the study guide. I littered a bunch in there for you. I broke down the pentacle, the fairy star as well. If you've never used it, is great. It's a septagram. Fabulous to use. Each point stands for a different thing for protection. You have power and personal will, unconditional love, wisdom and growth, knowledge and intelligence, harmony and tranquility, powers of mind and science, devotion and honesty, and then magic. So all of those things are incorporated in a fairy star for protection. So that's a big reason why I really love using that symbol. Okay, so before I do a brief rundown of blood magic, which is another thing I'm gonna do a brief rundown on, because I am gonna teach a whole class on this. This and that's another baneful type of magic as well. Honey, it looks like you have a question. What do you got for me?
I just didn't see it in the study guide. Is the Ankh, the Egyptian Ankh, is that good for protection? I know it's
Yes,
good for
did I
something,
not
but
include that? Did I
no,
miss
I
that?
looked twice.
Okay, I will be adding another page later. Yes, you
Okay.
were right, honey. I missed that one. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good. Just double checking. Thank you.
No, you're good. You're totally good. Okay. Seems like you can kind of combine a lot of these techniques and ingredients. Is there anything that you would absolutely not use together? That's a really good question, Morgan. I don't think I've had anything really backfire on me to not combine together. And as long as the intentions are set correctly, you can have layers upon layers upon layers of protection. I think when Paul and I were talking the other time, like he's got like 8 layers around his home. I have 4. I thought I had a lot with 4, but he's got me beat by a long shot. But you can have multiple layers. I mean, if I think about even how many layers I have on me personally outside of my own personal shield, I mean, there's 7 or 8 different sigils alone. I have multiple different tools and talismans between jewelry and other things on me and stones, and I mean, I have dozens. So I know, Morgan, I can't think of one. I can't think of a combination. Um, so I disagree with that statement on using your own blood and blood magic. But everybody has their own path, and I'm not going to say that anybody's wrong. My path, you can use your own blood. I actually prefer it. You can use your menstrual blood. I super prefer it. Moonblood is a powerful sacred. Okay, so when it comes to blood magic, I just kind of touched on it. But but menstrual blood is a great blood to use if you have access to that. It's some people call it moon blood. Because most women typically shed with the cycle. But you can definitely use it. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. I'm gonna close it out for a second so I don't keep getting distracted. So moonblood, it's a sacred potion which humans can use. It attaches us to our femininity, it attaches us to our moon, it attaches us to the earth. You can use it to bless your house, you can use it to create a protective shield, you can use it to draw sigils. I've used it to draw sigils on myself. I've used it to do a lot of different things. I've used it to draw sigils around my home for protection barriers. You can use it in protection rituals. You can use it in protection spells. I've placed menstrual blood in protection jars. You can do a lot with it. It can be used also to cleanse any past energies. And then again, like I said, when it comes to blood magic and moon magic, some people consider this baneful. Some people consider it part of the left-hand path because it's your blood, it's your life force, and they consider it kind of like you're giving away like an essence of yourself when you're using your blood because it's your DNA, it's your genetic makeup. I can see that. I can totally see that, and I can get how people can believe that. But I think that our energy is more important. And I think for me personally, with my path, so I feel like that's why I'm okay with using it. Because my energy is if I'm willing to use my energy and share my energy, I should be willing to use my body and my life force as well. But again, everybody has their own path. So if it doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. I'm never going to be offended if nobody wants to, if you don't want to do anything. But it can be super, super potent. Like blood magic can be super, 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 super potent. The big reason why it can be potent is it's because it's attached to your life force. It's also associated with death. It can be attached to fertility as well. Because if you think about it, like love is kind of everywhere. What is, okay, hold on. Does the chat just kind of, I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, we might need to. Okay, yeah, we're kind of not being very polite in the chat right now at all. Okay. I don't know if there's anything that I can do if I have a way to do something about the chat. Okay. I apologize. I'll figure out what I can after class about that. Oh, what's going on in the chat right now? Because I agree. We all have our own paths, and I am teaching from my path and my experience. And if your path and your experience is your path and your experience, that is totally fine. That's totally valid. But I am teaching from my path and my experience that I have pulled from a lot of different teachers. And so again, your path is your path. I'm not offended if anybody has their own path. They don't do things the way that I do. I am just here to provide my knowledge to you, and you choose to take what you want from it. And I feel like we should be able to be respectful in the chat about that. So I would like that going forward, please. And if we can't, then we may just, okay, thank you, honey. Yeah. And if anybody else feels that I was being rude or disrespectful, you can definitely let me know. But everybody has their own paths, and I want to make sure everybody, I'm just here to share my knowledge. Okay, so we're back to blood magic. Okay, let's see. Another reason why it's also really potent is it's because it can also be associated and tied to pain, very obviously. Physical pain. It can be associated, like it's seen sprayed all over the battlefield. It's associated with passion. It can be associated with sex magic as well because of that passion, because of that menstrual blood, because of that. It's the life blood force within us. That's why it's so potent. I mean, if you think about it, like scientists, they literally can't even clone our blood if they wanted to. Like it's actually illegal. Like if you want to, like they can't even like take your blood from you at the hospital to give it to somebody who's dying. Like they need your consent for that. Like that's how valuable our blood is. So to use it in magic is super, super potent. Again, everybody has their own opinion if it's evil or not. You can do your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own practice on that. When it comes to practicing safe blood magic, there are unsafe ways to do it. 1000%, and then there are safe ways to do it. Don't ever take more than a few drops. It isn't some like bloodletting thing to where you're just gonna like, that's not what it is. It's you don't ever take more than a few drops. You don't ever take blood from an unwilling participant. That includes yourself. That includes yourself. If it is something, if you are too afraid to do that, if you're too hesitant, if it's causing you too much anxiety, you're not willing. You're not a willing participant. It's not, and that's totally okay. So make sure that you yourself are also willing. So don't ever take it from somebody that's unwilling. You don't smear your blood on other people. You don't do that. You don't let other people smear it on you. You don't exchange your blood in any way. Like that's how communicable, like diseases happen. Like you don't do that. You don't consume blood. That's not part of blood magic. Like you don't do it directly, indirectly, any way, shape, or form. Like that's not part of it either. And you don't let other people consume your blood. So those are big, like, no-nos, like, don't do. I feel like some people think that that's this incredible description of consent. You're right. You're right, Morgan. I didn't even realize that's what I was doing. But yes. But so yes, that's how you practice safe blood magic. Like you don't like, and again, if you're not comfortable, if you even have like a little bit of heebie-jeebies about it, even just using your own blood, like even just using your own menstrual blood, don't do it. Like, don't do something if you're not into it and you're not wholeheartedly willingly into it. You're not a willing participant. A correct way to make sure you perform blood magic. Make sure you're always sanitizing your area of your skin before doing that with an alcohol pad or some type of sanitizing gel. You want to make sure that you're poking it with a small implement that is used for that and only that, and that has been sanitized and cleaned for that. You only poke enough to break the skin. You never go any further than that. And then you also make sure that you handle and you dispose of anything afterward that's been touched. You clean your wound immediately afterwards. You disinfect everything and you keep it clean. You keep it clean, and you make sure that it heals well. So you make sure that you do all that. When it comes to menstrual blood, you can catch it super easily in a Diva cup. If you use tampons, you can save the tampons. If you use pads, you can save the pads. I prefer trying to catch it though. It's a lot easier. I doing the free bleed and trying to catch. I kind of prefer it that way. But everybody has their own path. You want to do it that way. When to use it, when not to use it, you can use it for protection. You can use it for health and wellness. And I really don't like, I don't use this for minor things. This is I've done other things before. This is one of my last and final steps that I'm going to be doing for something. Free bleeding. Yeah. Do you not know what that is? So I feel so weird explaining this. I free bleed. So like I don't use tampons, pads, like anything. I'm just like go with the flow. Like this is my natural process. This is what happens. So when I free bleed, a lot of times what'll happen is like I will literally just catch it in like cups or things because I can usually tell when I'm gonna have some leaking out. You can just kind of feel it. Because I don't do any of that. I don't do feminine products. They're a waste of my money, they're a waste of my time, they're uncomfortable, I don't like them. So I don't do it. That was an off-topic thing. But yes, appreciate going over the safety and sanitary. Yes. Are you planning on? Yes, I am planning on doing a blood magic class. It's gonna be in December. I don't know when exactly. What I mean in the study guide by consequences of blood. Where did I put? I guess I'm not sure where. What did I put on that for consequences? So I guess when I'm talking about consequences for blood magic, I don't know what I put in the study guide for it. So I don't know what page, to be honest, to be fair. But when it comes to like consequences of it, first bullet on rules, when to use it. Fully prepared to accept whatever consequence. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so depending on what you're using the blood magic for, there can be rebounds. There can be rebounds that come back to you depending on what you're using the blood magic for. Which when I teach the class, I'll be able to explain that a lot more. Also, another one of the consequences is the drain of energy. Blood magic can really, really drain you. Really drain you. That's a huge consequence when it comes to blood magic. And then other ones as well is if you are using blood magic in a way that you are not supposed to, like trying to tie it with somebody else's blood, the consequences that you may not be thinking about that you get with that. You're tying your life force to somebody else's life force at that point. So that's another consequence that I have in there as well. Yeah, I've gone pretty in tune in my body, honey, as well. Yeah, my whole life it's been very wonky and off base, and actually ever since I got pregnant with my son, I haven't had one in almost 3 years. So my body has been weird with that. So that's also I think why I know what's going on with it all the time. Okay. So Chelsea, I think I answered that question. When not to use it, like it says, unless you're fully prepared to accept the consequences, you never use it to target another person without their permission. Like this is not something that I do with banishing. I don't do blood magic with banishing. Like you don't do it to target somebody without their permission. Um, you never use it in love or relationship magic. This is everybody's own perfect own personal path. This I personally feel this way. There are others that disagree. You can use it in blood and you can use it for love and magic, love and relationship magic if you would like to, but I personally I don't like that. I don't like I like bonds of between people to be naturally developed. I don't like them to be forced. But everybody has their own path. So again, don't be offended. Like I again, this is my way. If you use them, all for it. I absolutely love that. Never use it to gain power. I don't like to use it to gain power. And you don't really like blood magic is the intention isn't to bring harm to somebody else. It's not to bring vengeance or retaliation or anything like that. But literally like that's why in here I'm talking about it in a protection sense. Um, I gave you a very small snippet in the study guide of how to use it in magic, with candle magic, how to use it with anointing, with the talisman. You can also put it in a jar for basic protection. I don't really want you guys to touch anything else until I teach you more. Unless you are versed in blood magic, go for it. Go for it and do whatever you want. If you're not, I'm going to teach a class on this and I'll get way more into it. Glamour spells are also considered protection spells. Glamour spells are a spell that changes how you're perceived by other people. It's a kind of magic that's used for adjusting your appearance visually. Some of them are also used simply just for vanity, and there's literally nothing wrong with that, like at all. Nothing wrong with that at all. But how glamour spells work, they don't actually change anything about you, but they change the perception of you. So they change how other people are going to perceive you. Some people think that glamour magic again is baneful, left-handed, path, and immoral, because they feel like it's lying to other people. You're not showing your true self. You're wearing a mask, and things like that. Other reasons why people think that it's baneful and evil because it's tied to the Fae, and Fae had that reputation. I disagree with that reputation as well, but it's very common that people think that the Fae aren't entities that you should work with, and the glamours, and that's a whole thing. So that's another reason why it's considered that. If you use glamours though, they're really great. They help you figure out like what feels right for you and like who you are. A big reason why like I used glamour spells briefly for about 3 or 4 years in my mid-20s. And it really actually helped me figure out like who my authentic self was, like and how I wanted to present myself. After like going through that and realizing like which pieces and parts I wanted to kind of like change and have perceived a little different, it helped me be able to do shadow work to figure out why. Like really harness in on like why I felt the need to change that. And if it was something that was a positive, then figuring out how I can affect that into my life. So that is so when it comes to that again, like it's really helped me find my authentic self. Like I don't wear bras anymore because there's no reason for it. I wear the clothes that I want to wear. I change my hairstyles to whatever I want it to wear. I don't wear makeup. Like I do what I want to do that makes me feel comfortable. I look how I want to look outside of society. And glamour spells really help me do that. And again, they're a great way for protection. If you suffer from anxiety, it helps you be able to get out in the world. Honestly, like I really like it. When it comes to like glamour spells, I put quite a few different ones in there for you to use for different purposes. So you can check them out if you're interested in them and how you want to use them. When it comes to other protections, you also have secret amulets and secret jewelry. So you don't have to have your jewelry and your talismans be so visible. You can also have like secret ones, ones that are hidden below you. Also, you don't even have to do sigils or anything. It's just how you charge it. If you were at, which one was it? My last full moon. No, Samhain is when I taught you guys how to do this. I taught you guys how to do like the blowing the manifestations into beads and mala beads and beaded bracelets and beaded jewelry. And that is a thing that you can have as secret protection because people aren't going to know that you have blown the protection into there. They aren't going to know that you've set that protection into there, but it's going to be always there with you. I did place an actual like blessing in here if you'd like to use it. I actually really like her. I've pulled a bunch of like prayers from her before, and charm bracelets from her before for jewelry and protection. They actually work really well. So I definitely check that out if you're interested in that. Um, I have a couple other glamours in there for you because you can use glamour magic when it comes to like your makeup, your hairstyles, your clothing, your jewelry, like all of that. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions? Because I'm digging through the study guide here just to see. I've talked a lot about, I think we're at cleansing. Make sure I didn't miss anything else in here. Okay. Okay. So, sorry guys, I was just taking a peek at what I've got left in here, so I know what I'm looking at and know what I can summarize. Okay, so I have, it looks like 3 major topics to really go over. Because everything else, 4. Okay. So cleansing. When it comes to self-cleansing, that's a way for protection. You can cleanse your aura. You can do it lots of different ways. You can do it in the shower. You can do spiritual cleansing, ritual baths. You can do smoke cleansings, crystal cleansings, fire cleansings, blessings. You can do drink cleansings, energetic cleansings, egg cleansings as well. I broke down actually in the back of the study guide exactly how to do those. I broke down and gave you even tables on how to read your egg cleansings. I hear way too often people asking, saying, I did an egg cleansing. Now what does it mean? So I gave you a table to show you exactly what it means so that you can look at it and you can know. I even broke down for you, like if you see something like out of the ordinary, what the possible like outliers could be and what they mean. So towards the back of the study guide, egg cleansing, I broke down exactly how to do that, how to read that. That's a great way to do cleansings. Also a great way to read what's going on around you. And it'll let you know like if there's even anything attached to you. A lot of times egg cleansings actually end up giving me a lot of relief from anxiety. They actually end up relieving a lot of anxiety for me because they let me know that there's actually nothing going on. It's just me. So that's actually kind of a big reason why I love doing them. Take a look in the study guide of all, like I broke down a lot of very, very specific ways to cleanse of how to do each of these cleansings. But those are ways that you can cleanse as often as you want, as often as you feel you need to. I make sure my home and my space gets cleansed every new moon, every full moon, every wheel of the year Sabbath. It gets saged and cleansed every morning. It gets saged and cleansed every night. I myself sage and cleanse multiple times throughout a day. Every time I take a shower, that's an aura cleanse for me. That's not just a washing my body. So anytime that you feel that you need to cleanse, do it. Anytime you feel you need to cleanse your energy, cleanse yourself, cleanse your home, do it. Anytime you feel like you need to cleanse your tools, do it. You can't do it too little and you can't do it too much. It's really up to it's really, really, really up to you on what feels for your path and what you need. I just want to say thank you so much. I love making my study guys. I did include one for children in there. I also included some anti like bad vibe spray, some people call it, but it's really just negative energy and negative entities. Because you can actually do it like a mist and a spray. You can have quartz in there, sea salt in there, amethyst in there, sage in there, moon water. Make sure you're using moon water. Great way to do with that. You can do sprays and spritzes for cleansing. Again, like I said, you can do cleansing with light. You can do cleansing with sound. You can do cleansing with sound bowls. You can do cleansing with chanting. You can do cleansing with humming. Again, when to perform cleansing, I put out a big list of different options, but it really is up to you and your path. Okay. Protection crystals, obviously, great for protection. They're a common tool that you can use for protection. And I have a whole list as well in here for what you can do for using crystals for protection. You can use crystals around your home, on yourself. You can use it in your car. You can bring it, they're able to be portable. You can keep them on your altar. You can place them inside jars. You can place them inside crystal bags, small protection bags, a lot of different places. I even have a protection bag spell for children in there. If you didn't see that, Lucia, I not only have a prayer, but I also have a bag spell too. So you can stuff it like in their diaper bag or their backpack, and it'll be physically on them then. I even put a pet protection candle spell in there for you. You pretty much just engrave the pet's name into there. And then you make sure that it's anointed, cleansed, and charged. You have elemental protection that you can use that I have in there for you as well. Okay, I'm trying to see. A lot of this is just more prayers, more. I had this. That's see, like there's so much to protection, guys. I have so many different things for protection in here for you guys. Like I'm going through this and like I've just skipped like 15 pages, but they're all just different spells for you that you can choose to use on the topics that I've already talked about. Okay, sigils. So if you've never worked with sigils before, those are a great protective tool. Sigils are great because you can put permanent sigils, you can do temporary sigils, and you can do destructive symbols. Permanent sigils are made to last for a long time. They're made to be constantly working, and they should be able to be recharged when needed. They're best for spells that work on your subconscious level, and these are best to be worked for protection. Temporary sigils are ones that are created in a form that you wear naturally, and over time it will be removed. Typically, most of these intentions are going to be time-based. So it's going to be you're protecting this room for a week or a month or this lunar cycle or from this new moon to this new moon, or things like that. And then destructible sigils is a sigil that is destroyed in some way in order to actually activate it. So the destruction of that symbol is actually the burst of energy that is needed to make that sigil activate, to make that spell activate, and to make the certain event take place with that energy in action. So those are the 3 different types that you have for sigils. You can place them anywhere. You can have them on your person. I mean, I will draw them on myself in Sharpie. I will draw them on myself in, like I said, I've used menstrual blood. I've used lots of different things when it comes to drawing sigils on myself. You can draw it inside your protection jars. You can put it on your home. You can put it in your car. You can put it on your altar. They can go on your crystals. They can go, there's so many places you can put them. Your choices are endless. In the study guide, I gave you some that I personally have created and used myself, and others that other people have created and I've used. Everything that's in here is something I personally have used. I have not personally created them all, but they are all ones that I have used, and I've gotten good results on. Shentet is teaching an amazing class on one way on how to do sigilization. I would definitely highly recommend watching that on YouTube. It's great. There's also a lot of other ways that you can do sigils as well. There's a lot of basic ways that you do sigils as well. You can always ask me about it. I know a couple different ways to do them. Signs to know that if you have a curse or a hex that needs to be removed, you need protection from, are going to be, I have a pretty basic list in here. You're just out of nowhere ill or have an injury out of nowhere, a super string, bad of luck, strange animal occurrences happening. There's broken glass randomly popping up around you all the time. You have random negative thoughts that are outside of like ruminating thoughts or outside of like mental illness. All of a sudden your relationships start breaking all the time. You start missing personal items constantly, like very personal items, like your hairbrush or your toothbrush or your favorite necklace or your favorite pair of socks, things like that. You start seeing like bad omens around you. And if you have access to the dream world, you start having really bad reoccurring nightmares. If you start seeing any of these things, this is when these are possible signs that you have a curse or a hex on you. And you can know how, if you do, by doing an egg cleanse. That's really the number one way that you can do that. Big reason for using eggs is they're sent to be protection. They're a magical symbol throughout many cultures. They're tied to fertility. They're tied to the creation of the world and the earth as well. They're a huge cosmic symbol for divinity as well. There's a lot of reasons for why eggs are used. When it comes to doing an egg cleansing, again, I have it exactly how to do it in the study guide for you because we are pretty much out of time. So read through how to do that. If you have specific questions after reading that, you can certainly send me a DM. And like I said, I did give you what they all mean. What it means for symbols, if you have cobwebs, if you have double yolks, if you have blood, what it means for what it looks like, all of that. I have that broken down in the study guide for you as well. Okay, so I'm already like 15 minutes over. So do you guys have any questions at all about anything that I read? I know some of it I did pretty brief summary, but this was a hefty study guide I made for you guys. I had a lot to go through. And when it comes to protection magic, like I said in the first class, it's endless. Your options for protection are endless. There's so many different ways to do this. And this is really brief. Almost every single one of these topics, I could do multiple classes on each one. So if you guys have any questions, like basic questions now, you can certainly ask me. Otherwise, if you have questions more on specific topics, just send me a DM and I can help you with that. How do you get, so the study guides do get linked to the, yep, thank you, honey. You already answered that. Good, thank you. You beat me to it. You beat me to it. You already answered my question.
Yeah, you're doing the pleasure of teaching us all, so I can help out in the chat.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And again, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened tonight in the chat, you guys. I apologize. I'm gonna talk to Alex to figure out how to handle that when stuff like that happens. I don't really know what happened. So, and I hope again that I didn't offend anybody. It's never my intention. And if I did, you can feel free to send me a message and we can talk about it. I'm not afraid to do that. Okay, but again, thank you so much for being with me, you guys. Doesn't look like anybody has any questions. If you do, like I said, please reach out to me. Some of these topics I will do more detailed classes on. So if you do have questions, just let me know. Thank you for being with me, you guys, tonight. Have a good rest of your night. I don't think I'm doing class next week because some people celebrate Thanksgiving. So I didn't schedule one for then. But we do have one the week after, and then I am doing the Norse goddess Hel on Sunday for Dark Goddess devotionals. So have a good night, guys. Thank you so much for being with me.